Hello! How is it going, fellow human being? What is up? I don't know how to start this other than Supernatural Season 15 is about to start. And while I'm filming this, it's gonna start in 10 days. But as, you know, if you're a fan of the show, hi, made it to the right place. Season 15 is going to be the last season. So I create this whole document on my computer where I basically summarize season 14 because, trust me, a lot of shit went down. And we kind of need to remember it so then we can fully appreciate, hopefully, season 15 and how amazing it's gonna be. So yeah, this video is basically just to prepare for it and kind of reminisce about the last season, and yeah, let's just get into it. I'm gonna be going episode by episode and just going through like the main gist of that episode, like the plot for that specific episode. I said episode so many times, but I'm also gonna do like the overall, you know, arc of the season, you know, with Michael and everything. But yeah, also this video is probably gonna be super long, so please like it because it's gonna take me a lot of time to edit, and I could be studying for calc right now, but I'm not. But yeah, if you aren't into, you know, watching a long video about a stupid show that you watch, the TLDR for this is, Michael possesses Dean for like a little bit of it. Jack loses his soul and kind of turns evil, but not really. Cass is, sad. Sam is kind of forgotten, and then Chuck comes out of nowhere at the end and is like, hey, fuck you, basically. Yeah, so if you want to see all the intricacies of that, just keep watching. Just a little preface because people are really mean in the comments. I don't really like Nick and I don't like Lucifer, so if you want positive talk about him, not gonna be here. Another thing, I really like Cass and I really like Dean Cass. Don't call me a Dusty Heller because I'm not. I'm very civil, okay? I'm just making jokes. It's a joke, okay? That's what videos are for, okay? Joke around. Let people have fun. So, before we start with season 14, we gotta figure out where the hell we left off with season 13. I'll tell you. So basically, it ended with like a really bad wire work fight. I'm still pissed about it, so I'm gonna mention it. It's between Lucifer and then Dean, which was possessed by Michael. So Michael, Dean. So Dean said yes to Michael because he's like, hey, if you give me your power by possessing me, I can fight Lucifer and kill him, which, you know, both of us want, you know? And then Michael, after the fight, was like, psych, and took his body, and that's how it left off, with Michael possessing Dean. Yes. So yeah, with that, we start with season 14, episode 1. So basically, we start out with Dean still being possessed by Michael. Sam is with all the AU people that they rescued from the AU that Michael was in. They came over, and they're in the bunker, kind of being cool and shit. Bobby's helping Jack like learn to fight and everything, because also at the end of season 13, Jack lost his grace to Lucifer, and yeah, he couldn't get it back. So basically he's human, but also not really, because he's still the son of Satan, so, but yeah, he can't use powers basically, so he has to learn how to fight. Yeah. I can't explain things. Why am I making this video? Oh, and then Cass. You're probably asking where Cass is, yeah? So, in the first episode, he gets kidnapped within the first 12 minutes. Moving on. One more thing that must be added, you know, Nick, the guy that was the vessel for Lucifer for, like, ever, he's alive? And then the rest of the episode, basically Sam, Jack, and Mary all go save Cass. And, you know, he's saved. It's fine. And then at the end, we see Michael talking to a vampire, basically symbolizing how Michael, throughout the season, is kind of making an army out of monsters because he wants to take over the world. So, yeah, that's what that's symbolizing. So, yeah, that's how episode 1 ends. On to episode 2. Speaking of that little army that Michael's creating, at the beginning of episode 2, he starts giving the vampires that he's working with, like, this weird juju juice, basically, and it kills one of them, and later on we figure out that he's like trying to perfect a like spell thing to make the vampires invincible to like common things that the boys would use against it, like dead man's blood and silver and stuff. So they're basically invincible. Yeah. And then back at the bunker, Sam, Bobby, and Mary go try and find Dean. And then Cass stays back at the bunker to help Nick with his issues. And there's a lot of them. And we also find out during this like interaction between Cass and Nick that Nick really wants to find the guy that killed his family. But also we figure out that Nick is pretty sketchy and he just doesn't understand the magnitude of being possessed by Lucifer, because Lucifer did a lot of bad shit in his body, so it's like...
I'm not him, Castiel.
You gotta understand, bud. You were Lucifer. But yeah, jumping to the end of the episode, Nick basically kills someone because he thinks that they killed his family. Plot twist, they didn't, but you know... You gotta get angry and kill someone nowadays, you know? But don't worry, there's more where that came from with his storyline, so just stay tuned. Back with Michael, he talks with someone and he's like, hey, I want a monster army and enslave the world, you know? And then that dude's like, that's a dumb plan. The audience is like, that's a dumb plan. Michael's like, I don't see it like that. Another thing that should be mentioned is Jack visits his grandparents, Kelly's parents, a lot during this season, and this is the first time that he does it. He basically was like, hey, I used to work with your daughter. I'm totally not your grandson at all. So it's cute, and it comes full circle at the end. So I thought I should mention it, just in case we see them again this season. And then in true supernatural fashion, at the end of the episode, Dean's back to normal. They pulled a Demon Dean on us. I'm still pissed about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. Of course, stuff happens later on, which we'll get to, but right now, he was Michael for 2 episodes barely, and to us, the audience, is like, whoa, where did Michael go? We find out later what happened. We'll get there. Episode 3. So, it starts out with Dean coming back to the bunker, and he's kind of, like, shook because the bunker is kind of overrun with all the AU people, and, like, they're kind of, like, a cool gang now, just fighting monsters, and it's pretty cool seeing that Sam was in charge and everything. So yeah, Dean comes back, says hi to everyone, it's all fun and games. Then he comes back to his room, looks in the mirror, and he's like, hey, I have this weird mark on my shoulder, this is weird. And then Cass is like, hey, I can like do my angel power juju and go into your brain and figure out why you have that scar. Basically like, look at his memories from when he was possessed. So yeah, Cass figures out that Michael got stabbed by Kaya, the Kaya from the AU, that Kaya. So basically in the memory, we see that Kaya stabbed Michael with her little spear, that's what they're called. And we figure out that that's one of the main things that they can use to kill Michael. Because until now, we really didn't know how to kill Michael. And we also find out that during that exchange, Michael's actually trying to get that spear from Kaya because he knows that it's the only thing that can kill him. So now it's kind of like a race between both of them, who's gonna get the spear first. And of course, because Kaya's mentioned, we ring up Jody and it's like, hey girl, you remember this thing that happened? Yeah, she's back. So she comes out, tries to help them look for Kaya and the spear. Jody also tells us that Claire had a first love, and that first love was Kaya. It's time to cry. I'm still mad about Wayward Sisters and I really want it to happen. Please, CW, please. But yeah, other than that, during this episode, we also get to see the ominous coughing that Jack does throughout this season. Episode 4, it's the Halloween episode. Nothing much happens. It's a funny episode, but it's not plot driven like at all. So if you want to skip this one, you can, but it is pretty funny if you do want to watch it. One thing that we do find out is this is just a dumb fact, but I really want to mention it. Sam hates Halloween. You know that thing that he said at season 1, episode 1, how he hated Halloween? Yeah. He hates it because he took a date during Halloween to like a party and he threw up on her. And that's why he hates Halloween.
Harold.
Because of a bad date that happened when he was a teenager. Okay, that's it. Next episode. Episode 5. So, it starts out with Maggie, my girl. She's doing her own little case, vlogging it. like a true YouTuber, and she gets kidnapped because of course she is a defenseless female, because why not? Supernatural. But yeah, when Sam and Dean figure out that something's happening with Maggie, they go to that location and wow, Bobby and Mary are also there. Drama! But yeah, AU Bobby's kind of throwing shade at Sam, like, hey, why did you let Maggie come here by herself? You're a horrible leader, fight me. And then Sam's like, this is great. So blah blah blah, monster stuff happens and we find out it was a djinn behind this entire episode. So that djinn looks at Dean, and because Dean used to be Michael, he sees him as Michael and he's like, yo, is this still like the plan, bro?
Why are you going after hunters?
Because you told me to.
And Dean's like, what? And basically he explains that Michael had a plan for all the monsters like around the area to set traps for hunters. It's such a cool concept and I love it. But yeah, then the episode just ends with Bobby and Mary just kind of going to a cabin, I think, that Jody owns just to chill out, and that's it. So, next episode. Episode 6. So this is kind of Jack-centric with a little more emphasis on his character. Not much plot stuff happens. Basically the gist of it is this lady owns a library, one of her coworkers dies, so of course Dean and Jack go investigate. Jack kind of gets his little flirt on with the girl, and stuff happens, and we find out the girl is a necromancer and has a zombie boyfriend, and their kink is to kill people. I shit you not. I swear to God, that is the plot. But yeah, another reason why I wanted to mention it is because the episode ends with her writing a note to Jack saying, hey, I want to kill you so you can be my new zombie boyfriend and we can live together forever. So I just wanted to mention it just in case, you know, the slight possibility that she comes back next season, we know why she's there. And then the episode ends with Jack having another ominous coughing fit and collapsing in front of Dean. So that's fun. Next episode. So for this episode, episode 7, they go to the hospital to find out what the heck is happening with Jack. Basically the doctors are like, he's dying, just all of his organs are failing. And they kind of think it might be Grace, it might be other Antichrist things. But yeah, Jack is able to go through all of the stages of grief like in 0.7 seconds. So he immediately is like, hey, I want to live out the rest of my days, like popping off, you know? And him and Dean just go on a little road trip. And yeah, it's a cute adventure. The boys do try and save Jack, but there's not much they can do. They call Rowena and she's like, don't know. Another small part about this episode, we finally start seeing some stuff going down with Dean, and it's very ominous. Spoiler alert, it's exactly what you think. Yeah. Nick is also in this episode. A lot happens in this episode. He kills priests. Just a casual Thursday. Cass tries to save Jack by going to find Angel Grace because he thinks that might be the problem. He finds this healer, and the healer gives him like some grace, but he doesn't know at the time. It's actually like experimental grace, whatever the heck that means. But nonetheless, it's not real angel grace. So they give it to Jack, it works for like half a second, and then it doesn't. So we're back to square one, still don't have a plan on saving Jack. But the final scene that it ends on is Nick praying to Lucifer, because he's sad, and Mark P is such a great actor, it's such a funny scene.
Help me.
But yeah, we see him basically bring Lucifer back from the dead. Yeah, we'll get to that later. Really later in the season. So next episode, episode 8. Jack dies like a minute into the episode, and
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
yeah, so we follow him to heaven, and then we see this black goo thing follow Jack all around heaven. Jack finds Kelly's heaven, and it is the cutest thing ever, and I want to cry just thinking about it. But yeah, as Jack is in heaven, obviously on Earth, they're trying to figure out a way to bring him back. They end up calling Lily Sunders because they think that she can help. Because as you remember from, I think, season 12, she has some cool powers and things. And then Cass, after they have this whole plan with Lily, he goes to heaven to find Jack so that he can tell Jack the plan. And in this deal with Lily Sunders, basically he's using his soul to like save himself and keep himself living. And it's kind of like his grace, but it's his soul, so it's scary. But yeah, before Lily left, she like explicitly told them, don't let Jack use any powers, because when he does, he's not using grace, he's using his soul. So anytime he uses any type of power, he's losing his soul. His soul. We went down this in season 6. We don't need this again. But before that can happen, the Empty, which was the black goo, tries to fight them. Because the Empty's basically like, that's my property, like referring to Jack. So, because it's also kind of confusing because he's half human, half angel. So it's kind of like, where would he go, you know? But yeah, it gets to the point where Cass is like, hey, Empty, take me instead. Leave Jack here, please. And then the Empty's like, I like your thinking, but I'll do you one better. I'm gonna let you live. Yes, I'm gonna let you live, but as soon as you're happy, I'm gonna pluck you back and bring you to the Empty.
Why are we still here?
And this is a big point. Like, if you're mildly listening to this, please listen. This is a huge thing that we know is going to happen next season, so I just don't want you to be like, what the hell is this deal that Cass is talking about? This is it, okay? Because he also hasn't told anyone besides Jack, because he was right there. So, yeah. Also, the producers have said that they're probably going to do this plot next season. So, in all, with this episode, Jack is back. Lily Sunders dies because she did like one last good deed with bringing Jack back. Cass doesn't tell anyone about the deal. Naomi was talking to Cass and she's like, hey, I have like an approximate location on Michael. Here it is, bud. So now they have that. So it's really cool. Big happy family. Next episode. Episode 9 was the mid-season finale. It's a doozy. Let's get into it. The whole episode is basically a heist to try and kill Michael. So keep that in mind. We also get to see Garth in this episode. He's basically the spy kind of person in this episode. He's on the inside trying to figure out what Michael's plan is and then like relaying all that information back to Sam and Dean. Sam, Dean, Cass, and Jack all kind of split up where Dean and Cass go try and find Kaya's spear because, as we know, that's like the one thing that we know for sure can kill Michael. Sam and Jack, they go to a like UPS store kind of because it's Christmas, so they're not getting packages, but this is a lot. So Ketch over across the pond found the egg from, I think, season 12 or 11? No, 12. The one that they used to, like, capture Lucifer that one time that didn't, like, really work that well. Yeah, they kind of hope that that can work with Michael, so he's sending it over, but obviously because it's Christmas, they can't get it, so they try and break into the UPS store to get it. That was a lot. Okay. But nonetheless, they couldn't get it because Michael and a few of his, like, minions show up, knock Sam out, which... Is that the first knockout of the season? It might be. New record. Supernatural. Waiting that long. And then as Sam is knocked out, Michael takes Jack, brings him back to like his little lair. They have a little chat because technically they're kind of related. Kind of. So he tries to appeal to that sense of like, you know, like we're family, help me. And Jack's like, no. So a lot of fighting and stuff happens. It gets to the end. Dean has a spear, about to stab Michael. And then Michael repossesses Dean before he can stab him. So, let me backtrack a little bit. He was able to do this because as Michael was leaving Dean in episode 2, he kind of left a door open. And he kind of was able to like just let himself back in without having to ask permission again. And that's the thing that we saw like earlier with that weird stuff going on with Dean, it was Michael. So Michael obviously possessing Dean. He has a spear in his hands, so he breaks it, which, you know, now we don't have, like, any defense against Michael that we know of. And then the mid-season finale ends with Michael just snapping his fingers and signaling all of his monster army people to attack. Yeah, they basically pull the Avengers Infinity War. Sam, I don't feel so good. So yeah, just keep in mind, if you weren't a live watcher, we had to wait a month for the next episode. So, episode 10. So we're able to quickly capture Michael and then bring him back to the bunker. And of course, with the snap, we know that all the monster army things are still attacking. So, he kind of sent out like a little message to all the monster people and was like, hey, I'm going to the bunker, it's over here. And so now they kind of have their location. So, but yeah, as we're waiting for the monsters to show up, Cass and Michael kind of have a little chat. Michael kind of explains his whole reasoning behind everything. In the AU where Michael was from, their god kind of just bounced, and that god just didn't care at all about his world. And Michael got really mad about that, and he was like, this sucks. And now it's kind of his life mission to just kill all of the universe worlds and eventually God. So his end goal is killing God. Then Sam, Cass, and Jack all come up with a plan to kind of send Sam and Cass into Dean's brain to kind of get him out of wherever he is inside of his brain. And then expel Michael, like, you know, say no against him. But yeah, so we see Dean throughout this episode, and he's basically in a loop where he, like, owns a bar, and he's with, that lady who's, I forget her name, her eyes were the ones that burnt out when they saw Cass. Me too, honey. But yeah, it's just, like, this kind of, like, paradise for him, because he's, like, you know, he has a bar, he fights monsters, doing macho manly things, you know? So as Sam and Cass are trying to find him and kind of talk him out of like, hey, this isn't real. Come on, buddy. So back in the bunker, Jack and all of the AU people are just like preparing for the fight for the monsters. The monsters come. It kind of gets a little crazy, and Jack uses his powers against them. And as we said before, his powers are actually his soul. So, it's bad, and it's not good. So, yeah. Back in Dean's brain, basically Michael comes out, he's like, hey, Cass and Sam are kind of like freeloaders. Why do you want to be with them? And Dean's like, have you not watched the show? But yeah, they have a little tussle, and it's really funny. So, there's a freezer in the bar in Dean's mind. They throw Michael in there, lock the door, and hope for the best. Yeah, so basically he wasn't able to, like, expel him, but they were also like, if we expel him, it's like, we don't know where he's gonna go, he's just gonna, you know, possess someone else. So Dean thought it was best to just keep him in his head. With all that, it ends with Billy coming and paying Dean a visit. She's basically telling him that all of the books, all of them except one, say that his fate is basically sealed as Michael possessing Dean and then Michael using his vessel to take over the world. That's how he's gonna die, basically. So yeah, this one thing that we will find out next episode, that's the only possible outcome besides Michael possessing him. So it's either Michael possess him or this one book. Yeah, so left on that cliffhanger. Next episode. So yeah, in episode 11, we finally figure out what the hell was in that book. This episode's kind of weird. Dean basically builds a box, and it has a bunch of like symbols and everything on it. And then he tells us later on that in the book, it's a plan to have Dean with Michael in his brain locked away, go into a coffin that has a bunch of magic juju on it to keep him in there, and then throw him in the ocean.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
Yeah, that's a lot, and of course, In this episode, we get to see Nick. Yeah. But yeah, he wants to find Mary because Mary captured a demon in the past, and that demon was the one that killed his family, and he wants to get even, I guess? He steals a van, he's driving. Donna sees that the van is, reported stolen, and it, pulls him over. And then, of course, Nick gets the upper hand, tases Donna, and on his little merry way, again, to find Mary. So, stuff happens. Donna shoots Nick in the leg, arrests him. It's really cool, but he's in the next episode, so just wait. And then the episode ends with Dean telling Sam his whole plan, the one about him drowning in the ocean. And Sam, his last words of the episode are,
All right.
"Oh, right? What?" So episode 12 starts out with Dean having a nightmare about him drowning in the ocean, of course. It's, ouch, it hurts. But yeah, Sam's like, hey, to get your mind off of drowning, let's do a little ghost case. And, typical ghost thing. They do their thing. And then, so we see Nick again. Nick is in the hospital because, of course, he got shot by Donna. Real one. So, these next turn of events still make me so mad. So just, be warned. So, a cop is watching Nick, obviously, because he is arrested. And because he's arrested, also, he has, handcuffs on. And he talks to the cop, and he's like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. Can you, let me loose? And the cop is like, fine, sure. So, of course, during that, Nick is able to get free, push the cop to the ground, and kick him to death. And let me remind you, he was shot in his leg, and he was kicking him with that leg. Buck Lemming, I swear. So another thing about Nick this episode. As he escapes, he goes back to his original house that he used to live in. He sees his ghost wife, and his wife tells Nick, she's like, hey, I'm kind of anchored here and I cannot leave and, be in peace until you reject Lucifer. And he doesn't. So, also in this episode we have Donatello, and Cass is kind of trying to figure out how to bring him back because he's kind of has the same issue with no soul and all of that jazz. So Cass is like, let me try and figure this out. We also get him dressed up as a doctor, which, beautiful, amazing, love it. Of course, during that scene as well, Dean tells Cass, because he wants to tell everyone, that he still wants to drown in the ocean. Cass is obviously mad, so that's a great scene, and I love it. It's so fun.
This is goodbye.
Mission failed. We'll get.
They're able to bring Donatello back because he was in a coma from last season, I think. But, of course, he doesn't have a soul still. And then the episode ends with really nice bro talk with this amazing line. I love it so much.
Play. You've one card today, but we'll find another tomorrow. But if you quit on us today, there will be no tomorrow.
Oh my god, that line is so funny. He also punches Dean. Yay, toxic codependency, love it. And then Sam comes out, Dean's basically like, I still want to drown, but I'll hug you guys and say it's alright. So, yeah. Then it ends. Next episode, episode 13, is the 300th episode. One thing that's not super important to this episode, we're introduced to some characters that I just want to make sure everyone knows before season 15, because I'm almost positive they're going to come back in some way. They gave us too much time with them and I love them, so I want to see them again. They're these local kids, and it's kind of funny hearing them talk about Sam and Dean because it's kind of like an urban legend. It's like, whoa, these guys, they just... Why is there a helicopter? But yeah, we just get introduced to them in this episode. They come back later, so just want to make sure you guys know. So also during this episode, they found a bunch of things, and one of them was a pearl. And this pearl, it basically gives you whatever you want most, deep down. But of course, we think Dean wants, Michael out of his head and dead, you know, most. But apparently he wants John. Yeah, John from the past, I think pre-Supernatural. He comes to this year and interacts with Sam and Dean, and he also gets to see Mary. Sam and John have a little talk. They have some closure. John tells Dean that he's proud of him. So all around, very good for all of them. During this, we also get to see, like, because John came to our world, you know, everything changed. So we get to see a different Sam, Dean, and Cass. Sam is basically a TED Talk person. Dean is an outlaw, basically, on the run. And Cass is basically the same as he was in season 4, you know, still like kind of soldier mentality, you know? So they fight the other kind of Cass. Not much comes of it, they just have a fight, moving on. So at the end, we bring John back to his normal time period. He thinks it was just a dream. So, it ends there. Episode 14. Okay, it's mostly a Monster of the Week episode, and the monster is a gay cannibal Medusa with a pet snake. I'm not even exaggerating. But yeah, the main plot-driven thing in this episode is the Jack thing again, with him using his soul, and how, you know, he has his ominous coughing fits. Of course, because he's still sick, because he's still using his soul as, you know, grace, basically, and it's bad. It's not good. But yeah, he's not telling anyone anything that's happening. So he's a true Winchester now. So yeah, they finally get to the end where they're fighting the monster, you know, the big fight scene at the end. The thing that the monster does is like kiss its victim kind of and poisons them, and it kind of paralyzes them. So he does that to Cass. Cass gets paralyzed. They did have like an antidote type thing to stop the paralyzing. They do that. It doesn't work on Cass. And Jack's like, oh no. So Jack uses his soul, magic juju, whatever, to save Cass. Cass is obviously pissed off because everyone told him not to use his powers ever. But yeah, so they're very mad at him for using his powers. And then Dean gets knocked out and has a concussion, basically. He's not like his brother. He can't have a concussion every week and live, apparently. So they bring him back to the bunker with that head injury, and he almost dies, but he doesn't. But somehow, Michael's able to escape. And I forgot to mention, Rowena was in this episode. Rowena's in the bunker, and Michael kind of shows himself to Rowena and is like, hey, let me possess you. For some reason, she says yes. I forget the technicalities, but she does. Yeah, and then Michael, using Rowena as a vessel, kills all of the AU people, including Maggie. But Jack is able to kind of like pop off and kill Michael and kind of expel him, and then he like kills him, like, for real, and then takes his grace. He's amazing. So, episode 15. Not a plot-driven episode, really. It is a cast-driven episode and cast-centric, so I do recommend it, but not needed for, you know, the overall plot. Basically, it takes place in this town, and in this town, a lot of weird stuff is happening, so Sam and Cass go investigate. The town itself has, like, an old-timey feel, and they don't have like electronics and stuff like that. But apparently, one of the people in the town has like superpowers or whatever. And basically anyone that comes into town, he kind of is like, hey, I'm gonna pluck you out of your life and put you with someone else. So like this one guy who had an actual family in like another state, he started being like a random like husband, and he was like, I don't remember this, but when he does remember it, he dies. So it's a lot, and that was probably very confusing. I'm sorry. And of course, if there's a plot with a monster that kidnaps people, we gotta have someone from the team get kidnapped. So Sam's the one this time. So yeah, he gets kidnapped. Cass helps save him. Yeah, that's really it. The other, you know, subplot during this episode is Jack potentially being evil. So Dean is kind of trying to investigate and be like, is he evil now? Because he doesn't have much of his soul left. So Jack and Dean go to Donatello so Donatello can kind of get a reading on him, see if he's evil. Donatello tells Dean, he's like, I don't really know, but possibility, you know? So yeah, they bring him back to the bunker, and Jack, who has like a pet snake now, the pet snake from the gay cannibal Medusa from, like, I think last episode. So yeah, the snake is kind of just uncomfortable and stressed out because it's a snake in a weird setting, I guess. And Jack, in his mind, thinks that he's helping the snake by killing it. And, you know, because his master died, why don't we kill it and it can go back to its master? That was his thinking, and Cass saw this happen and was like, is my son evil? So, that's how it ends. Episode 16. Yeah, it's a Jack-centric episode, mostly. Basically, Jack is running some errands for the boys, and they run into the trio, you know, the two girlfriends and their friend. It's cute. I love them. But of course, we can't have nice things, so it goes wrong very quickly. So with these new friends, Jack obviously wants to like make a good impression, you know, show that he's cool, and he shows off his powers and somehow accidentally stab one of them. It's fine, you know, he saves her and everything, but still, he stabbed her. So now he's kind of, you know, not welcomed in that trio anymore, which is sad. And then the other thing that was happening during this episode was a Monster of the Week thing. Sam and Dean, you know, did their thing. Not much happened. Next episode. Episode 17. Woo! Okay. This episode was mainly centered around Cass and Anael meeting up and trying to contact God. The other plot that's happening is Donatello gets kidnapped by Nick and then taken somewhere else. Dean and Mary get Nick, bring him to the bunker, tie him up, you know, do their thing, and try and figure out where Donatello is. He's not talking. So during this, Jack gets really pressed about Nick because he's annoying, and kind of like instigates Nick, and then Nick kind of headbutts him and gets some blood on his shirt, which is going to be important later on. But yeah, Jack kind of beats him up, and Nick ends up telling them where Donatello is. So all of them go find Donatello, but of course Nick somehow gets free and knocks out Sam again. So second concussion of the season. So Nick then goes and tries to summon Lucifer. And the thing was, the reason he needed Jack's blood, which is like why he like headbutted him, blah, blah, blah. So he needed Jack's blood because it's kind of like a connection between like Earth and Lucifer. So it's like better to like summon, I guess. He's able to get Lucifer to Earth and almost fully like bring him back. It was very scary. But Jack was able to come on in, swoop in, stop that from happening, and he also kills Nick. So yeah, he kills Nick, and Mary's also there when this all happens, and Mary's kind of shook because Nick was killed barbarically, to say the least. And Jack's like, you know, he deserved it, Mary. And Mary's like, no, he didn't. I know he killed multiple people and is kind of insane, but he didn't deserve that. And then she's kind of instigating Jack, and Jack gets really, you know, stressed and frazzled and kills Mary. So, episode 18. Everyone finds out that Mary's actually dead because up until this point we didn't really know if for sure Jack killed Mary. He did at the end of that episode. This episode's mainly a flashback kind of episode showing Mary's relationship with all the characters. Also during this episode, Jack really tries to bring back Mary. So he goes to Rowena. Rowena isn't able to help him out because Mary's body itself isn't able to like sustain life anymore. I don't know the technicalities, but the way she died and, you know, she just went straight to heaven, there's no possible way to bring her back with like her kind of power. So Jack's sad, Sam and Dean are sad because, you know, their mom died. Yeah, so they burn her body and yeah, episode ends. Episode 19. So, second to last episode, and boy is it a lot. So, we start out with Mary's funeral. Then A.U. Bobby shows up and is like, hey, I'm gonna kill Jack. Obviously, Cass isn't about this because, you know, he didn't mean it. He's not evil. He just is having a rough time, okay? So Jack during this episode is very depressed, basically, because, you know, he killed Mary, so he's kind of like not welcome back at the bunker. One of the angel ladies, Duma, comes up and is like, hey, buddy, so I know you're kind of on bad terms with Sam and Dean, but they told me that if you help me make angels and do all these cool things, they'll welcome you back. Of course, Jack, being very gullible, he says, okay, sure, I'll do this. So Jack kills some people here and there, and then he found some people, brought them up to heaven, and started trying to make them angels. I still don't know if he fully made them angels, but I don't believe so. So then Cass comes up to heaven, is like, hey, Duma, what the hell is this? Why are you using Jack for your own personal gain? And then Duma's like, we need this, you know, we need angels. Also, I don't care. I have a lot of power now. I'm kind of in charge here. And then Cass stabs her because he ain't about that. So after all of that, Jack finally goes back to the bunker, talks with Sam and Dean, and is like, hey, super sorry about the Mary thing, you know? Sam and Dean are still kind of pissed, Dean more so. And they basically tell Jack, hey, we have this cool idea. So, we're gonna put you in the box, you know, the box that I was gonna be in and thrown into the ocean, that box, because it can basically hold very powerful beings. He told Jack that the reason that they were putting him in the box wasn't, you know, permanent, it was temporary until they can find a, like, solution to the problem with Jack and, like, the whole soul thing and turning evil, you know? So yeah, in the box, Jack is like kind of hallucinating Lucifer, and Lucifer is like, you idiot, why'd you let them talk you into getting in here? And he kind of loses it and breaks out of the box. And that's how it ends. So, we made it to the finale, episode 20. Just know that this season is a lot. And the season finale is even more so. So, for the finale, we pick up right where we left off with Jack coming out of the box. He teleports somewhere else, does his own little thing. He's walking down the street and he sees a lot of people lying, and, you know, this reminds him of how Dean lied to him. Connections. So, he does his little angelic power stuff. It makes everyone in the world stop lying, which, not gonna lie, causes a lot of funny things to happen. So Cass is also doing his little thing, and God shows up, which is Chuck, if you don't know. So Chuck shows up because a few episodes ago, Cass was trying to contact God, of course, and he was praying to him, and then God's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna show up now, because, you know, Jack's kind of an issue now, so we gotta have to address it. Going back to Jack, we get to see him visit his grandparents' house again, you know, Kelly's parents, and they're kind of pissed because originally he said that, oh, I work with your daughter. They obviously know that that's kind of BS now. They don't know what he is, but they know that he wasn't, like, they know he was lying. So Jack gets kind of sad. He does his little eye thing, almost kills his grandma, but doesn't. So it's fine. But he's still sad, so he leaves. So back at the bunker, Chuck and the boys are trying to figure out the best course of action with the Jack problem. And the main problem is his soul. So they're like, hey, Chuck, can you fix his soul? And he's like, you know, I'm God, but souls are kind of tricky. So I can't do that. Even though he's God, but whatever. Chuck is like, hey, I also have this gun that I just made right this second. It's called the Equalizer. Chuck's plan is to have one of them kill Jack with this gun. The only, you know, catch is that the gun, the Equalizer, whatever happens to the person that you're aiming at also happens to you. So if you kill someone, it kills you. so on and so forth. So, of course, Dean jumps at this opportunity to kill himself. And he's like, oh, I'll do it. You know, I'll kill Jack and I'll die. So, 2-for-1 deal. So, then we get to like the final scene. And Cass is like, hey, Dean, don't kill him, please. Let's just talk it out. That doesn't work, obviously. So Jack kind of gives himself up and he's like, you know, I understand. You have the right. Go ahead and kill me. So Dean is pointing his gun at Jack and he doesn't shoot him. So it's kind of cool, you know, because we don't have to kill him.
Mission failed.
But Chuck, after, you know, watching this go down, he's like, this isn't how it's supposed to go. This isn't how the story's supposed to end. So, buckle in. Basically, he likes watching all of the worlds, like all the alternative universes, basically as entertainment. So, he kind of likes messing with Sam and Dean just for like his own, you know, having a laugh, you know, gonna torture Sam and Dean. To him, it's kind of like, oh, I set up all of this backstory, I kind of want the ending that I wanted, and his ending was Jack dying. So yeah, they start arguing, because, you know, it's their life, it's not entertainment to them, blah, blah, blah. Chuck kills Jack, yeah. A bunch of fighting stuff happens, and then Sam points the gun at God and shoots him in the shoulder. That really angers Chuck. So, he starts the apocalypse. With the apocalypse, basically zombies come out of all of the graves. Ghosts that were originally already killed, like Woman in White and Bloody Mary, they come back, and yeah, it kind of leaves off there with Sam, Dean, and Cass all having to fight them. Before the episode ends, we also get to see Jack in the empty, and in the empty, Jack's awake, and also Billy and the empty are there. And Billy's like,
We should talk.
so that's gonna be interesting next season. And then back on Earth, like I said, Chuck kind of bounced, and Sam, Dean, and Cass all have to fight zombies and ghosts that they already killed. So yeah, tune in October 10th to see if the Winchesters get out of this mess. But yeah, if you're new, congrats on getting through all of that. That was a lot. But I also have full, like, episode length reviews for all of the episodes starting at season 12. So if you want to watch those, they're all in my channel. You can do that. Yeah, so I'm still going to be doing season 15 Supernatural Talks, so if you want to, you know, stay up to date with that, go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, I'm so freaking excited for season 15. I cannot even say, oh my gosh, it's so close, oh my god. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about season 14 of Supernatural. Whew, it's a lot. But yeah, with that, I will see you guys October 10th for Supernatural season 15.